All right, good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. And before we get started, I want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. First resolution, moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that our agenda be amended. We have one addition to the agenda, and that's number 11A, Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corp., their housing crisis eviction support, open house information. All in favor of that amendment? Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. And moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray, that we accept the agenda as amended. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Be it resolved that we waive the reading and accept and approve as circulated the minutes of the meeting, and that's our last council meeting from February the 24th. Any comments regarding those minutes from anyone? Call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the poetry reading from Martine and Christine Hrapiak. So the floor is yours.
Is it?
My delegation.
So I figured this is the third time that I've been asked to do this, and you must be getting a little tired of listening to my Dutch accented attempt of reading English poetry. So I brought along a much better reader and a much better writer as well. So Christine is going to read a couple of her own pieces right away as well. Do you want to start? Do you want me to start? Okay, so I'll do two really quick ones, but the first one I'm going to do is actually a sonnet by Shakespeare. I did not grow up being educated about Shakespeare. It's not part of the curriculum in the Netherlands. Got a little bit of snippets here and there, but never really got into it. It sounded like a lot of mumbo jumbo to me most of the time. And I recently went to see Midsummer Night Dreams, and I got totally hooked on it. So, of course, it was comedy. But it was really fun to watch, and I figured maybe I'll do a little Shakespeare for you first, and then I'll do a really short poem that I wrote myself. This is Sonnet 18. It's like the most famous short poem written by Shakespeare. And it's about beauty, and it's about internalizing beauty. And Shakespeare figured, maybe if I write about beauty in a poem, it will last for eternity. And I think he did a pretty good job, because we're 300 years later still talking about it. So he also believes that nature is what gives you the beauty, and we all have a duty to return beauty back to nature, which I thought was really fitting for this time as well. So, shall I compare thee for a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darlings' buds of May, and summer's leash hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines. By chance or nature chancing course untrimmed, but thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in their shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Blah. I gotta make it's hard to say some of these words, but but it's fun. I can't believe some actors actually memorize this stuff. So next one is a quick little poem called Hands, and it's about reaching out to somebody if they need your help. I wonder what will happen when I can no longer understand. In the midst of all that is happening, you say, "Here, hold my hand." Will it be clear or will it be muddled? Will you be cold or will you be hot? Will there be peace and quiet? Will I be nervous or Perhaps not. What I do think will happen, I hope, is the gesture itself will stop time and makes the world feel safer for now when your gentle hand touches mine.
That was lovely, Martine. Thank you. I have a couple of poems for you. I've been writing poetry for a long time, since I was a girl, and then I took a 25-year break to practice law, and then I'm back. And I brought a couple of poems that are very local. I don't know who was at the Remembrance Day ceremony last year. Most of you, I guess. I was there, and this is what was going on in my head as I was watching what was happening. It's called Singing God Save the King on Remembrance Day. I pin a poppy to my dress coat and join the stream of people flooding the temporary floor of the rec center above the ice. I find the Rotary Club wreath and settle in. I do not tear up when my seatmate speaks of her broken jaw and liquid diet. I do not cry when talk of the Great War brings to mind my then 26-year-old great-grandfather wounded, then dead, then buried at Passchendaele, or my grampy fatherless at age 3 and marked and marking others by it, or when small children honor their too soon dead. I watch it all like a show I just see on TV and take mental notes for later. But after the wreaths, after the hymns, after the closing has all but arrived, we stand and sing to our faraway king. It's the first time in my 59 years I have stood with the world to sing to this king instead of his mother, the queen of my childhood, of so many wars, of Christmas messages to the Commonwealth, of her whole life, whether it be long or short, the steady, constant queen. And this I have tears for. Suddenly my voice catches, I stumble on words and wipe dry my face. This most rote of songs has broken me. We sing for the king, but I cry for my dead queen. That's my Remembrance Day poem. And the next one is about the Northgate Trails. My poetry, and I've written a lot over the last year especially, is sort of family, memories, community things, and nature, and usually things that I see out in the Northgate Trails or in Riding Mountain National Park. Black and white world. We snowshoe into the middle of this freshly printed black and white photo of a winter day. I watch my shadow self swing her arms in time with mine. The bush blocks out the sun, and I lose her underneath the snow-clogged canopy. She skips ahead and skims the treetops, giddy to be free of me. He raises his hand and points. In summer, he does not buy flowers, but takes me to this place where flowers grow. Here in this frozen world, stripped of sun for a moment, he stops to listen, points one gloved hand at a palliated woodpecker, the red crest a singular flame drawing us into the light, where I know my shadow waits patiently to finish this walk just out of my sight. Thank you.
Thanks to both of you, and Jael and Christine, thanks to you and Martine for being involved in the Watson and all the stuff that is going on there, and for keeping culture alive in our community. So,
Can I say one other thing? I've read the Martine's going to read the proclamation. I've read it before, and Wormhole is with the Watson is going to have an open mic for spoken word coming up in May. We'll miss Poetry Month, but the intent is there, and we hope to expand some of this work in the community.
okay, thanks. And Martine will just read the proclamation. It'll come up in the agenda a little bit later on. We'll just get it out of the way now.
Yep. Okay. Whereas we recognize the cultural importance of language and literacy as the primary means of conveying knowledge. And whereas we agree that literature is defined as words raised to an art form. And whereas we acknowledge that poetry is amongst the oldest form of literature, and that it aims to express humankind's greatest hopes, fears, loves, and dreams. And whereas we understand that literacy is nurtured by the sharing and promotion of all forms of literature, and whereas United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, has declared observance of World Poetry Day on March 21st every year. And whereas we encourage our citizens to enrich themselves through partaking in all forms of culture, we support the idea of promoting literature and specifically poetry in our community. Now, therefore, we, the Council of City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim March 21st, 2025 as World Poetry Day and April 2025 as National Poetry Month.
Thanks very much for reading that. And again, thanks for starting us off today. Very positive note. Thank you. Just going to have a all in favor of, anyone opposed? None. Yeah. All right, thank you. And the next item on the agenda, moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray, that we have a delegation from Fire Chief Cam Avery. So Cam, the floor is yours. All of it, every square inch, centimeter, every square centimeter.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, I'm still kind of confused as to how the quarterly reports go. So I just gave you a year-end summary on everything since we're almost a quarter of the year into 25. So it's all of our data provided up to December 31 of 2024. And then I also included some of the information for 2025. But you could see that in 2024, we had 232 calls, a very slight decrease from the previous 2 years where we had 236 in 22 and 23. And then when we do a further breakdown, it still remains as false alarms as our largest portion of the calls at 37%. A lot of those false alarms are due to construction dust, humidity, lack of maintenance on a fire alarm system. And the odd one is because a company has come in to do their annual tests and they forgot to go offline with the system, and it still gets reported to a monitoring company. So we're still trying to educate people that if you are planning renovations, right, that there's precautions you can take if you are doing tests to call into your monitoring company ahead of time. Motor vehicle collisions are still our second highest category with 19% of our call volume. With those, we're allowed to file a claim with Manitoba Public Insurance for claims for firefighting or rescue costs. And we submitted approximately $38,000 in fees for 2024. It's always a gamble as to what we get back on that, because there's certain parameters that MPI has in order to be eligible for these claims to be processed. One of the biggest ones is that if the person, the registered owner of a vehicle, is a ratepayer in the community, then you can't file a claim unless it's on a provincial trunk highway or a provincial road. MPI doesn't put addresses on registrations anymore. So we file every single claim that we go to. And unfortunately, we have some rejected because they come back and they say they're a resident of your area. There's still a discussion around that, because if they have an incident on, say, First Avenue Southeast here, and they're a resident of the Arm of Dauphin, they are not a ratepayer of the city of Dauphin. We should be eligible for that claim. They're not disclosing to us where the person lives. They just see Dauphin on the address on their files, and they don't give us a chance to appeal that because we don't know where they live. So, we're hopeful in the 38,000 coming back, but it may be less than that. So they also prorate the calls. And if we have 2 trucks that are on scene for 3 hours, they may pay us for 1 hour for one truck and 3 hours for the other trucks. They don't see traffic control, obviously, as an issue, because that's why we have 2 trucks there to protect us from either end on a highway, but they'll pay for one, not both. So that's that. EMS lift assist category. Last year was the first year that we actually broke that out separately because there were some motions from AMM concerning that. You can see it's fairly consistent. 6% last year of our calls were for EMS lift assist, where the paramedics are short-staffed or they are patients that require additional people in order to lift them onto the stretchers and into the ambulance. In August of 24, I had submitted a memo to Mayor and Council regarding the topic with the province and resolutions from AMM from the 2023 conference. I had suggested that AMM keep working on the topic with Shared Health. And then we're informed that at a MAFC, or Manitoba Association of Fire Chiefs meeting, that Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority had announced that they would be offering $400 reimbursements to the fire departments in that area for medical lift assist. We have heard nothing out of our area. So we did ask for that in print from the mutual aid representative that claimed that. We haven't gotten anything back yet. So I would just ask administration, if you have any contacts within that region of the province, if you could inquire as to whether that process has been initiated or not, because it would be nice to see that everywhere throughout Manitoba. And the huge issue, as noted here, is that EMS is putting out a page through their dispatch center to our system requesting 2 to 4 members. It hits every member of our department through the paging system. We have no way to isolate 2 to 4 members and who those 2 to 4 would be, unless we had people on call and we were paying standby rates to them to be on call. And that just becomes an additional expense. So it is an expense to the taxpayers when they do this. We don't mind going out and doing it, but it's also a cost. There was a total of 35 incidents, or 15% of our calls, located within the RM, totaling 850 hours, or 19% of our time. So again, 84% of our calls were within the city limits, but this also includes all the motor vehicle incidents we respond to regardless of where they are. Because of the MPI claims that we file, every motor vehicle incident, regardless of where it is treated as a city call and not as an RM call. So we would have to separate that out as to where they're located. But then that would be filing different claims for the different municipalities as well. And then we had 3,625 hours to those calls within the city limits, or 79% of our time. And the remaining 2 calls were for mutual aid, 1 to Gilbert and 1 to Oka River. Our current fire protection agreement with the city and the RM, of course, is a cost share of 35% RM and 65% city on both our capital and operational budget. So just in addition to the incidents of our breakdown of 15% being in the RM and 84% within the city limits, when we look at the cost share, there's a lot more data than simply looking at the call volume or a per capita fee schedule. There are several pieces of apparatus that are used for incidents within the rural setting, that being the water tanker, or tender as we call it, the wildland unit, and our side-by-side, the rescue toboggan, 2 water rescue boats. And the only piece of apparatus in our hall that typically doesn't go to anything in the RM would be the ladder truck. So for a lot of that, the city is funding 65% of the capital costs and the operational costs for those trucks and all apparatus that respond in either municipality. So there's a lot more to it than just the call volumes or a per capita issue. As well, there's the administration time that it's related to the rural calls. My oversight as a fire chief of Sifton Fire Department for their administration and budget. And then, of course, all the annual safety and maintenance of all the equipment that respond strictly to rural calls. This year, 2025, started off similar to last year. January saw 21 calls, whereas in 23, we had 22 calls. However, in 2023, there was a total of 272 hours spent in the city and 75 and a half in the RM. This year, there was a total of 494 hours spent in the city on calls, and an approximate 82% increase in those number of hours. And that was largely due to 4 structure fires in the month of January. All 4 were suspicious. 3 of them were in detached garages, 1 of them in a home. So, and then I didn't have any of the stats for February, because when I presented this to the Protection Committee, it was based on January's data. As for training, we've already hosted 2 specialty training events instructed by the Manitoba Emergency Services College. The first was Incident Command System 200. There was representation from all across our mutual aid district, as well as 2 participants that came from Ericsdale Fire Department for that weekend offering. The second course offered was a fire department safety officer, which again had mutual aid departments enrolled, along with several from Swan Valley Fire Department. This past weekend, we just taught a primary leadership and a family session of the Working Mind first responder. Majority were Dauphin members. There was one member from Gilbert Plains Fire that attended as well, but that's some of our mental wellness training for first responders, that program. And we're currently working with the district and the college to bring a number of other programs to the area between now and June. Just got a message this afternoon that Rescue Practices is one of those, which is a low angle rope rescue program, which we're partnering with Riding Mountain National Park with their staff. That they've come in and we've created a partnership to bring that class here so they could have some of their full-time staff trained in the rescue as well. And then the exciting news, the new pumper is nearing completion with Fort Garry fire trucks. We've been posting a lot of stuff to our social media to keep the public informed on that. And at the time I wrote this, the expected delivery date is still the end of February, beginning of March. Well, March 18th, next Tuesday, there's several of us traveling to Winnipeg to do the final inspection. And they expect a delivery the week after that. So we're currently just waiting on the radios to be installed as far as I know. And not the radios where you listen to music or anything. So ones we can talk to each other on.
Thanks, Cam. Any questions from or comments from members of council? Now's your chance to talk to the chief.
Just a question. We did a false alarm policy, I don't know, a few years back, and
Yeah.
you'd mentioned a lot of that. So I guess if there's any tweaks that need to happen to that policy, you'll just let Charla know, and because we've had that policy for a while, so sometimes
We have. When it originally started, it was you were allowed one free false alarm, and then it was modified to 2 free false alarms because the companies that service these alarm systems are either Brandon or Winnipeg. There's nobody locally. So if somebody had a false alarm and then within the next 24 hours had a second one, they're receiving a bill for that. But they'd already put in a call for a technician to come and do the repair. So we work with the facility managers to, educate them as to what they can do. And then if you have a third call, that's where your fines now kick in. So I think it's fine the way that it stands.
Anyone else? No? Just on behalf of council, Cam, again, we're just so proud to have you leading our fire department and the work that you're doing with our guys and gals over there. And I know that when we chatted the other day, you've got some stuff about the building that you're looking at. And I know that we'll probably be talking about that this year. And we got your back on that one, I think is... that's a cliche I can use or not, but I know that, for us to have a fire service that we can rely on, we absolutely have to ensure that your facility is good, your equipment is good, your people are trained properly, they're led properly, and we have all of that. So I think it's important that we know this council, I can speak on their behalf, I think that we know when we have something good, and we want to hang on to it as long as we can. So
Awesome. Thank you.
thanks for that. And,
Thanks to council and administration for last week on the Wednesday night with the appreciation dinner. I know that our members were definitely felt the appreciation that night. So, and enjoyed the meal and the fellowship. So thank you again. And Kahoot, which means rooster, according to the Reeve. So
yeah,
yes.
be careful about it when you want to, fact check that one. But yeah, but anyhow, again, thanks very much, Cam.
Thank you.
And we'll stay in touch with Protective Services Committee and other stuff. Good. All right, a call for the question then to accept the chief's report. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, the consent agenda. We've already had item 5A looked after with the reading of the World Poultry Day and Poultry Month proclamation by Martine. We have a number of filing items, some information from Community Futures Parkland, Growing Manitoba Ag, Prairie Mountain Health, Mountain View School Division, and the AMM. We had a couple of Manitoba media bulletins in regarding to the new legislative session and the budget announcement. We had some information from Municipal Relations regarding the Housing Accelerator Fund application update, and then Manitoba Municipal Northern Relations, the Property Assessment Service Levy. And With that, that's all that's included in the consent agenda. Can I have all in favor? Anyone opposed? And motion is carried. Moving on then, moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly, that we accept the corporate report for March from the city manager. Charla, is there any highlights you wanted to share with us regarding your report? Charla says she doesn't think so. So any questions for Charla? No? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Ray, that we also accept as information the corporate report for today's meeting from the Deputy City Manager. Lisa, do you have anything you wanted to highlight from your report?
Thank you, Mayor Bosiak. I just wanted to note that February was a month of reviewing and updating policies and bylaws. So I updated a number of policies and bylaws, including the accessibility plan, the radon action plan. I drafted a generative artificial intelligence policy that is going for review and approval, hopefully this evening. And I've also revised the 2 enforcement bylaws that we use to enforce fines and penalties for bylaw infractions. I've been having meetings with the city manager and our team reviewing the zoning bylaw. And next on deck for me is to update our traffic and parking bylaw, which is long overdue for review to get it polished up. That's it for me.
Any questions from any members of council for Lisa? Then I'll call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Stakilo and seconded by Councillor Bellemare, be resolved that the finance accounts, having been examined by council, are hereby authorized. And those are: we had 93 checks in the last run for a total of $520,982.09. We had 4 electronic fund transfers, total of $20,810.42. There were no voided checks in the current or past range, and we had no electronic payments. Any questions or comments from any members of council regarding any of the financial information? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin and seconded by Councillor Sobering, be resolved that we accept as information the unaudited financial statements before PSAB adjustments for the period ending December 31st, 2024. And those include the general fund highlights and variances, the general fund balance sheet and income statement, the utility fund highlights of variances, and the utility fund balance sheet and income statements. I know that our Finance and Audit Committee met last week and went over a bunch of the financial information. I want to commend Scott and crew over on finance side of City Hall for getting everything up to speed. Any questions or comments regarding any of these reports? Did you want to? You seem to want to. Charlotte seems to.
Sean wants me to.
Sean wants to. Sean, you have to put a request in, and then if the request is granted, we can do it, but we will do it.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've talked to the Director of Finance, and he unfortunately is not able to be here tonight, but he asked if I could do some highlights or present some highlights of the 2024 budget. So the 2024 general surplus is determined at $383,990.19. Majority of that is a surplus from the expenses for the RCMP. They were down more members than we anticipated through vacancies, whether they're hard vacancies or medical leave or other types of leave. And after review of that surplus, it is determined and recommended by the Audit and Finance Committee that that will be transferred to our general fund. In terms of the utility fund, which I don't have right with here with me, it was about a $180,000 surplus, and that was had to do with some work not getting done. The construction at the south end took our crews away more than we anticipated. And so there was a project on Mountain Road that was not able to be completed. That surplus will be left as an accumulated surplus, which helps to offset accumulated debt. And that helps to balance out everything at the end of the year. It's better to be sitting with an accumulated surplus than an accumulated debt on the books. And right now we are in the debt situation. That is all.
Thanks, Charla. And I just wanted to just make a personal comment based on the discussions at the end of last year and then at the end of 2024. And the one thing that did show some promise based on the discussions we've had at council throughout the year was that, and my comments from last year were that a lot of our surplus from previous years was work not being done. And this year that amount is drastically reduced. So a lot of the work did get done this year, but because of the variance in the RCMP funding, we showed a fairly significant, well, not a fairly significant, but a surplus. And so as a council, we're zero-based budgeting. We don't want to have a surplus or deficit necessarily, because if you don't have a surplus, that means that you did all the things you wanted to do. However, with good management or the other reasons that you have a surplus or a deficit, we're in really good shape. So again, it was good to see the numbers coming in this year, and the notion that we have made significant investments in our community, and we're able to get them at a fairly reasonable cost. And I'll end by, just making one final comment that, and I'm quoting the memo from Scott, where he says, the major advantage we have over some other municipalities is that we have built our reserves to a level where we can weather a storm or deal with inflation and other financial impacts more comfortably. And our general fund surplus will be allocated to the reserve for 25-26. But again, it just shows the sharp pencil we have in that corner office. So if there aren't any other questions, I'll call for the question on this motion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? And carried. Moved by Councillor Sobring, seconded by Councillor Daly, be resolved that we accept as information the reserve fund report for the period ending December 31st, 2024. Charlotte, was there anything you wanted to highlight in the reserve fund?
Open
No.
to questions, though.
Anyone have any comments? The only comment I'd like to make is we were able to finance the south end and do all of the major infrastructure projects we wanted to do, and we ended the year with just about the same amount in our reserve funds as we started the year with. So again, another good sign for good fiscal management. Call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Stakilo, be it resolved that we accept the information, the analysis of the 2024 water sales. Any questions or comments regarding water sales? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, be resolved that Council accepts as information the memo from the Director of Finance on March the 6th regarding our financial analysis for the period ending December 31st. Any further questions or comments? I've made a few comments about this already. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Something I will note is that the council compensation report is posted in the lobby or in our vestibule at the entrance of the door.
Moved by Councillor Sobring, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, that we accept as information the councillor compensation report as required by the Public Sector Compensation Disclosure Act. Any questions or comments regarding that? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Stakilo, be it resolved that we accept this information, the engineering staff report from the building inspector for February. Any comments or questions about the building inspector's report? Call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly, Be it resolved that we accept the protective services report from the bylaw officer for the month of February. Any questions or comments regarding this report? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be it resolved that we accept the protective services report for the animal services program for February. Questions or comments regarding animal services? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by why do I keep saying Deputy Mayor? Maybe I got something stuck in my head. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be resolved that we accept as information the minutes from the following committees: the Parkland Regional Library, their regular board meeting in February the 8th of this year, and the Public Library, their regular board meeting from February 18th. Councillor Bellemare, is there anything you wanted to highlight about any of those minutes, or
The audits have been received for both the Parkland and the Dauphin, and everything was cleanly done. And one of the big changes next year is they've increased the starting wages for the branch librarians because there was long overdue for a correction. So there was a will by the trustees from the whole region that be addressed. So $2 an hour more. So, we got to pay a decent wage for people who are working hard for the communities. Branch librarians are not only just having books in and out, there's a huge expectation that they arrange a lot of community events and create a community hub, and they're doing that very well. So they really appreciated the increased compensation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. The next item, moved by Councillor Sobring, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Whereas Dauphin's Country Fest is a premier tourism event that contributes significantly to the local economy by attracting thousands of visitors and generating approximately $5 million in local spending annually and increasing overnight stays in our community. And whereas Country Fest provides an excellent opportunity for the city to enhance its tourism branding and marketing efforts through high-profile exposure, including on-site promotions, digital advertising, and sponsorship events. Be it resolved that Council accepts information, a sponsorship proposal from Dauphin's Country Fest in the amount of $100,000 plus taxes, and a memorandum dated March the 6th from the Economic Development Manager, noting that the proposed 5-year sponsorship would secure the long-term promotion of the city's brand at Country Fest, and recommends that the proposal be approved. Further be resolved that Council agrees with the Economic Development Manager's recommendation and approves the 5-year sponsorship agreement for $100,000 plus taxes to be funded from the Economic Development and Tourism Reserve Fund as a lump sum payment due within 30 days of this agreement. And further be resolved that Council authorizes the agreement with Country Fest to be signed and sealed by the Mayor and the City Manager. Any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Councillor Sobring.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment on it. I know it's over 5 years, it seems like a large sum of money, and I just wanted to make the statement that Dauphin's Country Fest has been a big draw to our community for many years. Lots of hard working volunteers to make it happen, and they've endured a few years of COVID and shutdowns, and they've invested a lot of money into the community over their years, and now the city is going to invest in them as a show of faith in recognition of all the hard work that they've done over those years. So I just wanted to make that statement because I think it's important festival for all of us. I think the economic data and the reports show that as well, and I believe those reports will be made available at some point. But that is it.
Any other comments or questions? Call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Whereas the City of Dauphin recognizes the importance of the revitalization of 2nd Avenue Northwest as a craft district, which is a key economic and cultural initiative that will enhance the downtown core and foster business development pedestrian accessibility, and community engagement. And whereas the Craft District requires a functional design to guide the development of the project and ensure feasibility, cost effectiveness, and long-term sustainability of the planned improvements, including sidewalk widening, utility corridors, enhanced streetscaping, and traffic modifications, be it resolved that council accepts as information a 2nd Avenue Northwest functional design proposal and quote from Urban Systems and a memorandum dated February 25th from the Economic Development Manager noting that the proposed functional design services include background data collection, geometry planning, and functional design drawings at a cost of $14,250 plus taxes, and recommends that the proposal be approved. Further be it resolved that council agrees with the Economic Development Manager's recommendation and approves the quote from Urban Systems for the cost of $14,250 plus taxes, and authorizes administration to proceed with Urban Systems in the development of the functional design to support the implementation of the Craft District Revitalization Project. Any comments or questions regarding this resolution? Councillor Bellemare.
Okay, I have a comment and a question. So having just recently been away and, looking at how things are done in other communities, I'm really excited about the possibilities for this. And I'm really pleased to see it's moving forward. My question would be, there's a piece that involves working with the province. And so any anticipated timelines about that? What might be happening there?
So thank you for the question. We've put in the request with the province to move the designation of 2nd Ave Northwest as the provincial route, to move it over to 1st Avenue Southwest. Northwest. So basically from going straight into town and turning at the bank corners and then zigzagging and then turning again to continue east at No Frills, to do actually designate what most trucks do, use and turn at the fire station and then turn at the old liquor store and then continue through. We've put in the request. It's up to the province regarding timelines. We've let them know that we want to do things in 2025. And but we'd like to get that change sooner than later, so that we are the authority to make any changes to the streets or the sidewalks at the time.
Okay. So further on that, we had requested at some point that the speed limit be changed on the west side of the bridge, because I think it goes from 50 to 60
maybe?
before the bridge, where really we have the entrance to the park, and plus we want to slow traffic coming down. If there's any way we can work that request in with this, that would probably be a good time.
I want to say that we might have made that request a while back, and maybe I'll just take a look into the status of that. Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the resolution? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Whereas the use of AI, such as ChatGPT, Copilot, and other generative AI platforms, is becoming increasingly prevalent in both public and private sectors, offering opportunities to enhance efficiency, support decision-making, and improve service delivery. And whereas the responsible and ethical use of AI in municipal operations requires clear guidelines to ensure compliance with privacy laws, prevent misinformation, and safeguard municipal data. And whereas Generative AI Use Policy 16.3 establishes protocols for the appropriate and prohibited use of AI within the City of Dauphin. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information a memo dated February 19th from the Deputy City Manager summarizing the AI Use Policy 16.3 and recommends its approval. And further be resolved that Council agrees with the Deputy City Manager's recommendation and approves the adoption of Generative AI Use Policy 16.3 as presented, ensuring that AI technologies are used ethically, securely, and in alignment with City of Dauphin's operational standards and legal obligations. Questions or comments regarding this resolution? Councillor Bellemare.
Okay, I was just
You.
thinking about how we have this animal services bylaw that we're hoping to be a model for the province. So, maybe we're going to be a leader in this as well, because certainly it's all new technology and everyone's trying to figure out what to do. So maybe we can be the leader here. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. I know that Councillor Daly and I are both tech. We're really into this stuff, aren't we, Councillor Daly? No. Savvy, tech savvy. That's the word I was looking for. Yep. Okay, Councillor Daly, moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Sticalo. Whereas the City of Dauphin's bylaw 3323, which are standards for mobile homes, only provides for mobile homes not exceeding 10 years of age. Be it resolved that Council accepts this information, correspondence dated February the 18th from Len Lundstedt, owner of Triangle Mobile Home Park, requesting approval to move a mobile home older than 10 years to Lot 22. Further be resolved that Council accepts this information, a memo dated February 26th from the building inspector, who reviewed the application and recommend that Council approves the application with the following conditions: that a development permit is required from the office to move the mobile home. The cost of the permit is $150. That the site for the mobile home must comply with CSA standard Z240.10.1-94, which is the site preparation, foundation, and anchorage of mobile homes. That no structural connections are permitted for additions. That the mobile home park owner must sign the permit and approve the move-in. And when the mobile home is moved, and upon inspection, if the mobile home appears to be modified, a provincial safety standards inspection will be required to rectify the mobile home. Any deficiency discovered will be required to be corrected to allow the mobile home to stay in the mobile home park. Any questions or comments regarding this resolution? All in favor? Anyone opposed? And it's carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Sticalo. Be resolved that we accept this information. Correspondence dated February 27th from Allison Moss, the director of the Dauphin Public Library, requesting a 2025 appropriation of $20,037.75 quarterly. We'll forward this funding request to the 2025 budget deliberations. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Sticalo. Be it resolved that we accept this information. Correspondence dated February 27th, also from Allison Moss, requesting a 2025 appropriation of $22,656.36 quarterly for the Parkland Regional Library, and that we also forward this request to the 2025 budget deliberations for further review. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Sticalo, seconded by Councillor Sobring. Whereas the province of Manitoba's Housing Starts Here Proposal Development Fund assists organizations in engaging professional services to advance affordable housing projects that will expand the housing supply and help to address chronic homelessness in Manitoba. Be it resolved, the Council accepts this information. Correspondence dated February the 20th from Amanda Novak, Executive Director of the DNRC Corporation, requesting a letter supporting their application to the Housing Starts Here Proposal Development Fund on behalf of Anishinaabe Housing Corporation to allow the Anishinaabe Housing Corporation to assess and develop a plan for necessary repairs and upgrades to 9 residential properties in Dauphin. Further be resolved, the Council supports the efforts to enhance affordable housing within the community and approves a letter supporting their grant application to the Housing Start Here Proposal Development Fund on behalf of Anishinaabe Housing. Any questions or comments regarding this request? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that bylaw 04-2025, being a bylaw of the city, amending bylaw 02-2009 for the regulation and control of traffic and parking in the city of Dauphin. And this is specifically related to the no parking on Whitmore Avenue East and Mountain Road South, be now read a second time. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Moved by deputy or moved by, you didn't move this one again. What is my problem today? Yes, maybe the next one. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Be resolved that bylaw 04, 2025 be a bylaw of the City of Dauphin. Amend bylaw 02, 2009 for the regulation and control of traffic and parking in the City of Dauphin be now read a third time and to be signed and sealed by the mayor and the city manager. As this is a recorded vote, we'll go around the table. Councillor Sobring, in favor. Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Councillor Stakilo, yes. Yes. Councillor Ray and Councillor Daly. And the motion is unanimously accepted. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Be it resolved that we accept as information the following invitations from the Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corporation, their Housing Crisis and Eviction Support Open House on March the 20th. Further be resolved that any expenses related to council or staff attending these events be borne by the city. Questions or comments regarding this invitation? All in favor of accepting the resolution? Anyone opposed? And motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be resolved that we accept as information the invite to the following community event, and that's the Dauphin Friendship Center Culture Wellness Days on March the 14th. Questions or comments? All in favor? And motion is carried. And moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Got that one right. Seconded by Councillor Stakilo. That we now have the council reports for today's meeting. And Councillor Daly, we'll start with you.
Right off. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended the last regular council meeting, February 24th. Attended the justice meetings here at City Hall on the 27th. March 3rd, rec meeting here at City Hall. On the 5th, I was lucky to attend the Dauphin Firefighters Appreciation Dinner. It was great, fun, and well turned out. On the 6th, I sat in on a meeting with Brenda Winters and Shannon Janai from the Warm Safe Space of the MMF, discussing issues and plans there. On the 7th, I attended with others the courthouse tour, which was tremendously interesting. And earlier today, I attended the MMF Community Advisory Board meeting. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Councillor Daly. Councillor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. February 24th was our last regular council meeting. On the 25th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Luncheon Series dealing with Indigenous and Métis opportunities in careers and education. On the 26th, I attended the Rec Committee meeting held at the Cup, and later that afternoon participated in the Community Safety and Wellbeing Communities of Practice Zoom meeting. On the 27th, I attended the meeting with Justice Minister here at City Hall. March 3rd, we had our special rec meeting. And on March 5th, I attended the firefighters' supper as well. March 6th, we had our finance committee meeting, and later that day, we had our rec meeting with the RM here at City Hall. On the 7th, I as well was given a tour by Todd Boguski of the newly renovated courthouse, which was beautiful. And March 10th, which is this afternoon, I attended the Community Safety Wellbeing Teams meeting with CCFSC. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councillor Bellemare?
Thank you. On March 3rd, I attended the council meeting on rec funding, and on the 6th, I attended an information session on climate misinformation by two presenters through ICLEI. They had really good resources and tips on how a municipality can navigate through this type of situation. On March 10th, I attended the Community Safety and Wellbeing Project Team meeting online. And I just want to mention again in the Deputy Manager's report about the 8 bullets worth of policy. And while some people may say policy is boring, I want to say that I think it's really valuable. because we need to figure out in advance how we want things to go. And then, of course, we have a backbone there to follow for future situations. So I think it's just another way that we make our city a great place to live and to work. And I want to thank Lisa for her diligence and attention to detail in this area. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Deputy Mayor Loughlin, you're not up. Councillor Staccato.
Jeez. I don't know whether to be offended or not. It's all good. For myself, on February 24th, regular council meeting. On February 26th, we had a recreation board meeting at the Cup. On March 3rd, I was in attendance for the city recreation meeting, and then followed that up on March 6th with the RM and City Rec meeting. And then later that day, there was an airport board meeting, and I was in attendance for that. I just want to make note that I was able to attend the Manitoba Planning Conference, March 6th and 7th, although not there in council capacity. I was there in my professional capacity, but always just really great information that is relevant to both worlds that I live in terms of planning and land use and climate change and sustainability, and the list goes on. So good information there, and also a good opportunity to network with other municipal officials, with other municipal staff, and professionals alike. So with that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Sobering. No, Deputy Mayor Loughlin, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For me, February 24th, that regular council meeting here at City Hall. On the 27th, I was also in here in the council chambers for the meeting with the Justice Minister, along with the staff and other councillors, to discuss the rehab center and jail coming to Dauphin very soon. On the 3rd, also at that rec meeting here at City Hall. On the March 5th, I too attended and spoke at the Dauphin Firefighters Appreciation Supper at the Parkland Rec Complex. On the 6th, the next day, a few meetings, the meeting here on recreation with the rural municipality, as well as the airport board meeting directly after that meeting with the RM. And then the next day, 2 more meetings. No, the second one wasn't a meeting. The first one, audit and finance meeting here at City Hall. And then I too took part in the almost fully renovated courthouse down there at the end of Main Street. And for me, that ends my report.
Thank you. And Councillor Sobering.
All right. I got to be the anchor. I also attended the recreation meeting here at City Hall, the meeting with the Justice Minister. Had a handy van meeting. We were working on a number of grants and operational issues. And I was very, very appreciative of the tour of the courthouse. I really like renovations for some reason. And it's a very historic building from a time where they used building materials like marble and tiles and solid hardwoods. And even though there is a cost factor there, it's nice to see that they've kept some of those original elements in the building where possible. And it was just a great, I've never been in that building, fortunately. I've never had to be so far, knock on wood. But I think what I heard afterwards when we met the justices as well is that it's a very top-notch facility. It's just another thing that our community has that's going to attract people to work here and also relocate here, because the facility is probably one of the nicest ones now in the province. So that's fantastic. And then finally, I guess I'll end it on a address, the letter to the editor written by Alex Dimitrick in the Dauphin Herald. It was kind of I was singled out in it, so I thought I would just take the opportunity now to just speak to it or some of the issues. There was a implication that there was some wrongdoing or misappropriation of city staff or city funds. So I guess the first thing is the Craft District project is just a city project that's being basically to rehabilitate crumbling and broken infrastructure, not just replace something with what we had with just the status quo, but actually to take it in the next step. And I think one of the big wins for the city is when we When we expect people to invest in the city of Dauphin, I think it's always a good idea if we also invest in ourselves. I think we're doing that with Country Fest. We do it with our infrastructure. We did it with the Southern Highway. All the benefits, the businesses and the corridor there and that highway expansion. And oftentimes downtowns get neglected, and it's easier just to go with what's new and what's shiny. So just like the courthouse, the worst parts of our city are getting refurbished, and we're looking at things like drainage and sidewalk widths and making it actually a desirable place to visit. The other one is the Creative Commons. It's a great project. I think that it's being run really well by a group of dedicated volunteers as a nonprofit, and they hope to add another asset to the community where people can go and engage with each other and learn and use tools and technology. And it's going to be a great space and great project. My role is kind of double. I'm part of the Economic Development Board, and that falls under that portfolio, but I'm also the landlord of that building space. In the world of commercial properties and rentals, it's very typical for a landlord to rent a space and the tenants to do a fit out. The nonprofit group, was successful securing a grant from the province. They were vetted. They met all the requirements. It's all above board, and it was done in a manner that was very transparent. And they're going to use it to fit out the space, which is not necessary. You could operate out of a barn, or you could have some flooring, or you could have paint on the walls, or not. But they were successful with their vision. They want to make it the best. And for my part, I rent out the space at zero cost per square foot and only require utilities. So usually guys get a brass plaque or something like that when they do the good thing, but I waive the $2,000 a month and will continue to for the next 5 years. And if people in the community find that abhorrent, they should just ask the food bank to see how successful they are in securing free space. And it's not easy, but I'm proud to do it, and I will continue to do it. So I guess that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councillor Sobering, and for that clarity. I'd just like to acknowledge Deputy Mayor Laughlin for stepping in last week. I was in Winnipeg during the council meeting, so thanks for chairing the meeting and also bringing greetings at the fire dinner, as I was also in Winnipeg, making a presentation at the Provincial Recreation Conference on promoting recreation. So kind of an irony that I suppose I'm a bit of a rec person in the rest of the province, or acknowledged as that. I just also wanted to remind folks that last weekend was a pretty busy weekend in Dauphin. We had the under-13 hockey provincials. We had 8 teams from out of town staying in Dauphin from Thursday until Saturday. And we also had the AAA basketball provincial qualifying tournament here, where we had 7 teams from out of town staying in town for Thursday, Friday. And so I think that it bodes very well for our community when we can be tremendous hosts and have these kind of events in our recreation facilities and in the school. It's been finally renovated, and the gym is now fully accessible and available for use. And I too was quite impressed with the courthouse tour and the work that's been done there and the investment that the province is making in that facility. So again, as Councillor Sobering was acknowledging, we did happen to bump into the justices in their office space when we had a tour of the building, and they had indicated how the ability to attract justices is enhanced when you have a facility that is basically the best new courthouse in Manitoba. And so I think that, again, speaks very well for our community future. And with that, I will end our reports. Call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? And finally, moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Councillor Ray, that